Hey everyone, today on I Cook and Paint, we're gonna learn how to can our very own locally grown tomatoes. That's right, now you know what to do with that bumper crop. This is a really great way to eat locally all year long, and these tomatoes will end up in soup, stews, sauces. They're way better than the canned tomatoes you buy in the store, and you know what guys? This is actually easy to do, so let's start. So first you want to wash off your tomatoes really well, and these are called Roma tomatoes. They're also called plum tomatoes, but you can can any type you want. Now here's what you have to do to each one. Cut the stem out with a paring knife and then score an X on the bottom, and this is going to come in handy when we peel them later on. So do that to each and every one. I have a whole bushel, oh my gosh. So here I have a pot of boiling water and I'm going to start adding my tomatoes into it, and this is going to help loosen their skin so we'll be able to peel them really easily. You don't want them in there very long, just maybe about a minute or so. And then some people put them in ice water at this point, but I never do. And remember where you made that X earlier on the bottom of the tomato? You just kind of pull the skin back from that point. And if the skin doesn't come off easily, just leave it in the water a bit longer. Okay, I just did that to all of these, so now I'm going to cook a quarter of them, and I'm using 2 pots just because I don't have one big one. And I realized when I was editing this looks like way more than a quarter of what I just showed you, but it's actually not. This is a quarter. Right now would be a good time to get the jars ready, so you can do however many jars you want. I have 24 here, they're 500 milliliters each, and you want to bake them at 220 degrees for 20 minutes, and that'll sterilize them really well. Some people boil them for 10 minutes, but I think this way is way easier. Okay, while those are sterilizing, I'm going to start cooking those tomatoes that I put in the 2 pots. So I also want to start crushing them up with this potato masher, and do this for about 20 minutes or so, and this is what it'll look like. It should almost look like tomato sauce. So now you want to start dropping your whole tomatoes into these hot crushed tomatoes and let them boil gently for about 5 minutes. So now my jars are all sterilized, but before I put the tomatoes in, I want to add a teaspoon of lemon juice into each one. So this will help preserve them a little more, and it'll also help retain their really nice red color. Now put about 3 or 4 whole tomatoes into each jar and then fill in the rest using the crushed tomatoes. And you should be able to fit in total about 5 to 6 tomatoes into each of these jars. So that'll give you an idea of how many jars you'll need. And when you do this, try and keep everything nice and hot. Both your tomatoes and your jars should be hot. So all my other jars are still in the oven. You might only want to do like half or maybe a third of your jars at a time because everything works better when it's nice and hot. So now you'll want to take like a spatula or something and slide it down the inside of the jar between the tomatoes and the glass. This releases any air that's stuck in there, and if the level goes down, just top it up with more tomatoes. Now today my mom gave me some fresh oregano from the garden, so I cut it up into little sprigs, and I like putting it down the side of each jar in about 3 or 4 places all the way around. And you can do this with basil, you can do it with thyme. It adds a little bit of flavor to the tomatoes, but it makes it look really nice. And you don't even have to do this at all, but I think it looks nice. Now before you put the lids on, boil both the lids and the screw bands for 5 minutes because they have to be sanitized. Now wipe the rims of each jar with a damp paper towel. This is kind of important because if they're not 100% clean, the lids might not seal. And that'd be kind of a waste, so go ahead and give them a little wipe. Now use brand new lids when you do this. Don't try and reuse lids from like last year's jam or something because these aren't meant to be reused. They very likely won't seal. You can reuse the screw bands. That's these things going on right here. And when you put these on, don't make them super tight. A little bit of air has to come out of these jars when they're canning, so just finger tight. Now here's what a water canner looks like. It's just a big pot of boiling water, nothing fancy. So I'm going to put my jars into here, and I don't want to overcrowd them. I'm only going to do 8 at a time and make sure they're completely underwater. Now I'm going to cover this and process it for 35 minutes, and then you can start taking them out. And if the lids don't pop over the next 12 hours or so, then it means you have to either try again or just use up your tomatoes right away. And that's it guys. Do you want to watch more videos like this? Then subscribe to I Cook and Paint, and I will see you very soon. Bye!